Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode one of the Spam and Rice podcast. We are going to be tackling the biggest debates in Axie Infinity, the hottest topics. And it's very rare where I can find podcasts or content with some like the best players in the game. I'm in the presence of two legends right now, two rank one legends. They need no introduction, but without further ado, I want to hand it off to them, let them talk a little bit about themselves. And yeah, let's get right into it. First of all, we have Ralo here on my right. What's up, Ralo?
Sub Spam, sub Steven, how you guys doing? I would say one legend and Ralo, but I
Oh
still
no, the
think
other legend I was talking about myself. The two, yeah, my
yeah.
bad.
I would still say one legend and Ralo and Spam, but um, I think I'm a decent player still. But yeah, the legend is the goat Thebes. I'm very happy to be here. I think this space is a space we really need, the community is asking for. I started a similar space called Descentralizados in English. That would be decentralized in Spanish. And it was like something I think the community really appreciated. So I think this space for the English speaking community is going to be huge and they're going to love it. So I'm pretty stoked and hyped, actually.
Ah man, thank you so much for being here, Ralo. And then, without any further introduction, we have 1437. You want to say hi real quick, man?
Yeah, what's up, guys? I want to say hi to Twitch chat as well. I see a lot of people out there. It's popping. I think you guys are also streaming to Facebook as well, right? So, uh, hi to the guys out there in Facebook. I'm just happy to be here. It's been a while since I've been on one of these, podcasts or interviews or anything of that nature. So I'm, really looking forward to just talking, chilling, sharing some ideas or whatnot. I think it's a great place for a lot of like-minded individuals to come together and just be able to express themselves.
Yeah, man, I agree. Well said, well said. Yeah, honestly, we saw each other all recently, maybe like a month or two ago, but we haven't talked much since then. There's been so much controversy. There's been so many great news, potentially bad news, and we haven't really got to see each other's opinions on it. You guys are two people in the space I respect a lot, and I'm very excited to hear about what you have to say in these upcoming topics. So yeah, let's dive right into it, man. Let's dive right into it. All right, so first and foremost, I think one of the hottest topics throughout the past like few weeks, actually, one that hits pretty close to us since we all do this for a living, would be the AXS distribution when it comes to rewards. As you guys know, they took a chunk off of it to spread it towards other resources. We all have different opinions on it, I'm pretty sure. But I know one person that's been very vocally outspoken about it. Why don't we start off with him to lead the way? Ralo, the AXS distribution. What is your opinions?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say disclaimer. Um, I'm a very honest person with what I feel, right? And that comes with a huge responsibility because sometimes I go a little out of the too much fumes, right? But to be honest, it's like I try to be on Twitter how I feel that day, right? Maybe sometimes I'm a little toxic. Maybe sometimes I'm very bullish. I don't know. That's the way I feel, and that's the way I try to be on Twitter. And that day was a very sad day for me, actually, because yeah, Axie Infinity, like not only to me, I believe to a lot of people, changed my life. Right? It actually changed my whole life. I've been doing similar stuff with gaming for so long since I have a memory, and then Axie Infinity was the this like marvelous world where I came into. I started streaming. That was only that like the beginning, and then I started trying to be a pro player. I joined the MTA, and it was one of the best days of my life. And I started to meet Theban, and Elijah at that moment was someone I looked up for as well. So it was like such a great time, right? And it started to feel like, okay, I can be the try to be the best, like uh and improve and gain more money and like make a living out of this. And then when like this last patch dropped, the new AXS redistribution, like I remember the old one was like a little message towards the same goal, but this one was much worse, right? And I don't know, like I was very sad. I felt like they were trying to go towards a place that was letting us a little out, especially with the prices that you have to pay to try to be at the top. Because being
Y-
at the top is not only buying one team, sometimes is trying to experience like, oh, I like this idea, I will try it. And then you spend, I don't know, at least zero point zero 0.04 ETH, and then you need runes and charms for that, and maybe it doesn't work and you need to test another one.
So when you mean like they're pushing you out, um you're speaking like on behalf of competitive players, right? Like ones who tend to, because
Humbly. Yeah,
yeah, no,
humbly, but
I
yeah.
get it, because like uh, the restructure mainly took away from the top 20,000 players of the game. So that
Yeah,
I assume like
yeah,
that's what
it's not only
you're.
top one, right, or top 25. And that's, I think, the biggest, like, like I don't know how to phrase this, but like the biggest thing that people don't really understand, they think they're taken out of the top 100 of top 50. It's not. It's top 20K. So it actually, it like, for me it was an expression of an idea of where they're trying to go, and I felt I was not a part of that eventually.
Mhm.
So it was very sad for me. It was very sad. And then seeing that they redistribute. Sorry, that word's hard. Redist. Oh my god, I can't. Well,
Redistribute. Yeah, I got you. No
yeah,
worries.
yeah. The money through boxes randomly. I was kind of cool with that, right? If you give, I don't know, 5, 10 tops, 15, 20 AXS, right, for a millionaire, okay, that's fine. But when I saw 100, I was like, dude, this is too much for me. It's like it's hurting me. So yeah, that's basically my opinion. I would like to hear yours, guys. But yeah.
Yeah, 1437. How about you go first? I think you formed your thoughts very, very well on Twitter, and I would love to see it vocally expressed as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic. I think I understand where Sky Mavis were coming from. I feel like the way that they restructured this and what they did, it's a very common problem, right? Like we've been seeing over and over again. Sky Mavis is a very they're a very good company. You know, they have great ideas and they deliver extremely well. But I've always felt like sometimes before the problem arises, they might lack of seeking out uh, how do you call it? Seeking out um, some thoughts or guidance or whatever on the matter. Of course, you know, they want to keep things closer to the chest so that stuff don't get leaked out. But I feel like if they did, let's say, came out and talked to someone who's in the ecosystem, like actually playing and understands what's going on in like everyday activities and stuff like that, then you know they would give you a different perspective, which I feel like that perspective could have helped them make a better decision. Because as we saw with the recent decision, there was a huge like uproar, right, from the whole community. One of the reasons, and I'm sure you guys have read my Twitter post, it was like probably the longest post I've ever made. It was like an essay or something. But the
It
reason
was
why,
not that long.
one of the
I know.
reasons why I wrote that is because I feel like the community was not able to um, efficiently communicate what they wanted to say, what kind of like open letter they wanted to, you know, show to Sky Mavis or everybody else to understand and come together. What it did was it kind of divided people. It was like, oh, here you have a bunch of you know, pro players. They're just like whiny little bitches because they're losing money or something, and then you got like all these other group of people who are like not pro players being like, oh, you know, they're just greedy. Oh, this is so good for us. But in reality, it was a big loss for everybody, right? Like and that's what I wanted to show. Like, and one of the reasons why I was frustrated was because for the past year I've been, you know, looking at how AXS distribution is, the emissions, what was originally planned, for example, in the white paper. And you know, there's some fine prints in there which I completely understand. Sky Medias have been working within their boundaries, right, of, you know, what they should be doing and whatnot. But I still feel like there's a lot of unfairness happening. One of the things that I expressed was obviously about the whole land staking, which like just suddenly came last year. For me, it's like, okay, if you can just put that in there out of nowhere, right? Something that was completely unplanned, and you just let it run for a year. And I don't know what the statistic is, but I was talking to someone and we are doing some math. It was like 6 months of land staking is the equivalent of how much players who play the game have. Uh, it's more than players who play the game have made since 2018, like up until now, like actual players of the game. So for me, like that's not don't quote me on that. That's not like an accurate number or something, but we were just doing some rough math and like figuring out maybe there were some other emissions that we don't know about that came to players. But that's like that for me, that was a ridiculous amount, right? And I feel like players should be valued more. Players are the ones who keep the game alive at the end of the day. I understand, like, the 1% of whales are the ones who spend the most in the game, but the players are the reason why the game continues to be a game, right? If you don't have people playing a game, then it's not it's nothing anymore at that point. So all those things, just kind of like came to me at once, and I spent a lot of time writing that up. I feel like we sort of diffuse the situation in terms of like people fighting with one another, but at the same time, I don't want that to just be like something just fades away, right? Just because the situation has been diffused or something. And the other thing that was piling on top of that was and one of the reasons why, especially the competitive players or the pro players, I always say pro players because, like, how do you identify a pro, right? Like, but anyone who competes, for example, in tournaments, they don't have anything for the remainder of the year as of right now, right? Like the past year, we could possibly even call it the golden ages of competitive Axie because of the grant that was there. I feel like Zayori created this incredible system, right? I'm like he was one of the people who really helped with making AxieCon possible, the first one, right? And if you remember at AxieCon, I want to say like 80% of the people that were there were actually there for the tournament. Like it was crazy how many people showed up to come and play for the Origins tournament. Some of the other guys came also for the V2, which they qualified for. And then now you don't have any tournaments left on the schedule. And we also don't know where that's headed. So you got all these people who've been here for the past year, competing every day, buying Axies on the market, trying different teams out and all these things. And there's like this huge void, right? This huge void that needs to be filled somehow. And all those people don't know how to fill that.
Yeah, man. Great points. So like just bouncing off your some of the sentiments that you expressed. One thing that I really agree on is like the divide that it caused. Our community is a very wholesome community, a loving community, and especially during a bear market, causing that divide is never like a positive thing, of course.
Yeah.
To be honest, at first, I didn't really react the way that you guys did. I was like, it's only 24%. Oh yeah, bro, I made a bunch of money on Axie. It's okay, let's bring in new players. Then I just started like thinking of it in like a different perspective. I wasn't thinking about the pros that make money. I'm just thinking about like even just mid-level players, right? Like and how much it affects them.
Oh, yeah.
This
Probably the
season when they
most
all
affected, actually.
yes, because honestly, we're speaking for them as well. Theben made a really like great point in his post, and he's just talking about how we're the core players right now. Like our community, these are like the most active people putting their heart and soul into Axie Infinity, especially during a bear run, down market, and like obviously, no matter what, things are going to be great in the future, next bull run and whatnot. But I really hope they are showing like the appreciation towards the people that were here through the rough patches. But without like further, with like another statement I wanted to say was, man, it started hitting me when I started shopping for teams this season. I was looking at what I only gained this much for this rank. And it's also during a season where they decided to take the free runes and charms away. So like it was a bad time to combine both. I do think both of them are good ideas. And I do think Sky Mavis, honestly, they're like good people. I think they always have good intentions, right? They just don't always in this situation, we're not sure like what was the best possible result.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always gonna be patient. I think this is a one season break. I am grateful like they've they've also done their share during this bear run for us. They've showed out 2.4 million the esports grant and whatnot. And we'll be talking about the esports, the future esports later and whatnot. But in terms of just AXS distribution, yeah, it hurts. I have a gut feeling though that maybe this is just they hear our voices for sure. They've always done a good job at hearing our voices, and I'm just kind of hoping this is just a test season, just to get some more statistics, more data. I heard Ralo say something about, man, this just wasn't worth it because they could have just showed out this extra amount just to avoid all this friction and whatnot. Um, so yeah, I'm still honestly till to this day, I don't know. I'm still kind of divided on that. But yeah, I definitely see the frustrations from our community, but then I also see Sky Mavis's side on you could kind of see the direction they want to head towards too.
Yeah.
Prepping us for the next bull run, onboarding these new players,
Yeah.
giving players outside the top a chance.
So I'll add on to that. I think like they're an incredible company, really. Like look at how much they've survived this past year and a half year and a half of like this bear market. I don't know how much longer we have on this bear market, but it's amazing, right? And retaining all the players that they have so far. Like Axie has the most amount of players throughout all of Web3. But one thing, like for me, that bothers me and that I feel like they should do a better job at is being more transparent with what their plans are. I get that in Web3 it's a little bit more different than regular games because you got a token, and they like to release the news accordingly so that you know the token does good things. But even so, I feel like especially in the bear, you have these hardcore believers, and you want to like continue to keep and earn their trust, right? And the best way to do that is be more transparent about what's happening, right? Like the whole situation with the whole land thing and whatnot. It would be awesome if one of the employees would come out and be like, okay, this is what's happening, this is how we're addressing the situation. Just making a simple post like that gives me a lot of confidence that okay, they're at least addressing the thing. I know that they can tell us behind the scenes whatnot, but I feel like the whole community should be able to hear it. I feel like everyone should be able to hear it. Everyone deserves to hear it, right? Like even if you're a player who doesn't even put any money into the game, but you're playing the game, you're already player liquidity. You're already like a huge asset to the game, and you deserve it. You deserve to know the truth. So yeah, like that's something I feel like they could do a better job at. There was a second thing I was gonna say, but I completely blanked on it now. But
I
if
have
ever
one
comes
thing
back
to
to me,
say.
go ahead,
and you
Ralo.
can come back.
Yeah.
Something that I previously said that I think it's an interesting point. It's not literally, don't quote me on this, but I think competitive players or players who like invest money into a game to test and play tourneys and go on the leaderboards are kind of like mystic holders for me, in a sense that it's a very important part of the community. Maybe they don't own this very expensive asset, but their role is very important, almost as important as this very expensive owners, in a sense that it keeps your community going, it keeps the marketplace alive, and it starts like to build a community where more players come into, because you have passionate gamers that play your game, right? So I don't know, I think that they should be valued as such. And when I mean competitive players, I'm not talking of top 50, I'm talking of top 2K, I don't know, top 5K, it doesn't matter. I mean players who try to compete. That's why I mean it doesn't matter how much time do you spend on the thing, it's more of if you're spending on the thing. And I don't know, it feels like it's important to keep us alive and the fire burning, right? So yeah, I agree
No,
with your
that's a
point.
very, very good statement because a lot of people, and even myself, sometimes I question, hey, are the pro players, are the competitive players, are they entitled? Like, do they feel like, they're so important that everything, all the financial decisions, business decisions, have to revolve around them? And no, that's not the case because I agree with you, Rallo. Marketplace activity, all the core like, yeah, obviously the mystic holders hold like huge assets and whatnot, but we're the people that are active in the community daily. We are either creating content, we're just talking with each other, we are driving most of the marketplace activity. I might be wrong on that, but it feels like it, right? We are the daily active users that are logging in and playing every single day, and I do think, we should be heard, and like our opinions should
Yeah.
be valued
For
and whatnot.
example, let me say one last thing about the topic. For example, every week in Spanish, right? Because it's my main language. I'm doing it's not a podcast, but like a coaching stream would say, with Zaratustra is another pro player or competitive player, whatever. And what we try to do is like help people make their team with the best out of the money they have or the axes they have or whatever, right? So the other day I was thinking on of what that means actually, right? And I was thinking, yeah, Sky Mavis wants to onboard new players, right? Isn't this like type of content, like coaching streams and stuff, one of the best onboarding techniques? Because in Web3, it's not easy to like. It's not like YouTube. You can go YouTube, Hearthstone, Top Deck, and like how I make an account. You don't have like a million videos on content on how to enter the game, and then so in a way, what I'm thinking is, or what I'm trying to say is that if you value this type of players and like try to, I don't know, help them help you. Uh, Eventually, you will onboard a lot of players as well through some. Sometimes maybe they don't think this is a potential, but I think Twitch, YouTube, and like this type of coaching streams from competitive players, you don't have to be in the top. You can be a medium. It's whatever, but I think this type of content is very valued as well. So
Well,
yeah,
Yeah.
I really think competitive is a
do
must.
you want to know what the best onboarding strategy is?
What is it,
Yeah,
Pete?
give
It's
Fib
it's
$500 for free, something
it's
kind of.
play and earn.
Yeah,
It
like
is, it is,
We've
it
already
is.
the other
we've already
day.
been there.
No, the other day I saw a tweet from, I don't know, random guy number 33 that it kept resonating on my mind. I read, um, "Play to earn is back, baby," and a photo of, I don't know, 83 AXS.
I saw that one. I saw that one actually.
Did you saw that one?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking like, trying to get back to you, Thiman, and what you quoted, that sometimes you don't know what they want, right? Like, where are they heading? Like, I was like, isn't this what they actually told us that they didn't want? They were moving from that term. They were trying to go to play and earn or play for earn, blah blah blah. And then they're making decisions that sometimes make me feel that they're going towards another place, and that's what
Yeah.
like sometimes
No,
makes me like.
I think so too. I think it resembles a lot of what happened before. I mean, again, like one thing about Sky Mavis is they run a lot of their strategies using their data, right? Like that's what they use. But although you can use your data all you want and you want to prove your point, there are a lot of things that you can foresee and you can also avoid. But in order to do that, you need a lot of experience, being on the front lines, right? Like I can see a lot of problems that can arise. I can see a lot of good things that can arise, but the only reason why is because I'm literally inside of Axie. I'm probably inside of Axie than any other person in Sky Mavis. Like I can confidently say that because I literally live, breathe, eat like Axie from the moment that I wake up till I go to sleep, and that's through playing or like looking at market stuff or whatever. All these kind of things. Any time that I can spend, I will do it. Even when I'm playing with my kids, right? I'll think about something related to Axie. Like, and my wife's like, "Oh, what are you thinking about now?" And I'll just tell her what I'm thinking about,
Same,
right?
100% the
Yeah.
same.
So this will lead me to my last thing that I want to say regarding the whole leaderboard change, right? This is more maybe personal, and maybe other people might be able to relate as well. I'm not sure. The whole thing with leaderboard ever since season 1, right? Season 1, it was some crazy amazing prize distribution and all this stuff, and yeah, it was a lot of hype. I remember people just throwing their money away, like trying to buy all these ridiculous Axies. Like the minimum for a tier 1 S tier Axie was like 0.5 ETH, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
During season 1, and there wasn't even eras. People were literally spending throughout the whole season even without eras because they knew that they had to keep on being closer to the top, right? So yeah, after that they kept reducing the prizes. Season 2, okay, reduce the price. Rank 1 got hurt the most, rank 2 got hurt the second highest, and so on. Season 3, same thing, reduced it again. Season 4, once again, reduced it again, right? And as they kept reducing it, it was redistributed towards 30k, 40k, those players, right? Then here we have, now we're in season 5, right? In season 5, when they redistributed, but this time they pulled out a lot more, 24%, right? From season 1 till season 5 now, I think, just using rank 1 as an example, I think it's gone down like more than 50%, right, than what it was before. And now we have eras, so of course rank 1 player doesn't get everything. It's split between like 3 different people normally. For me, I'm the type of person who loves progression, right? Not like, oh, my Axie is leveling up. I love progression in the competitive in the competitive nature, right? I want to compete. I want to push myself to the next level. I want to be better than I was yesterday. But how can I do that if I feel like what I'm fighting for is worth less than what it was every
Every day,
season that came afterwards?
basically every day. But
So
yeah,
for me, it's more like it should be something that grows and not something that is shrinking. So I feel like every season, or even now, every day, sort of thing, I'm working backwards in my life. So, and that's because like I've dedicated my time and my effort into being a player of the game, and someone who truly loves the game. So I feel like I don't know where I am, and that's why this past season, or this past era, like I literally didn't play, and I didn't spend much at all. Where in previous seasons, I would like just buy a crazy ton of Axies just because I want to try different stuff. I want to enjoy the game, whatnot. Now I feel like I'm becoming more of this like I won't even say ROI. Like I just don't want to feel like
yeah.
I'm just
Money
losing
goblin.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just don't want.
I'm
I
on
just
the
don't want to
same
feel like
point.
I'm losing stuff, and I don't want to feel like, because I already feel like I'm not progressing. How can I go to the next level now? I don't even know. Like this is a personal thing, right? For me, like even if I won seasons and I go for the next season, I try to win it. Like if the prize was even one AXS higher, I feel like I'm progressing. Now it's like always I feel like even if I win, okay, was this season worth more than my other wins already? Like, is it worth it, or should I just go and do something else? Right? Should I just go where I feel the challenge somewhere else? And that's where I'm at. And that's why I wrote like I made a tweet saying that this is probably the most unmotivated I've been in Axie, because it hit that like breaking point for me already.
I can vouch for Theben. Me and my viewers were trying to stalk his profile to copy his teams this season. We literally were just on it the other day. I'm like, Theben didn't buy any Axies? I'm like, wait, where's all his eggs? What's he doing? Oh man, so it really, really kind of, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you were like, that's where you're out of Axie right now. It's kind of sad seeing like one of my idols and a lot of people's like, role model feel this way about the game. Because yeah, it's true. That's why you've been so successful. You always try and build on your success and strive for something new. So I'm kind of sad to hear that, but we can like you maybe talk about it later on when we open up Q&A, and I'm pretty sure
Change topic. I don't want to cry. It's too early.
Yeah, okay. Hey, let's transition to our next topic, and this one's actually pretty interesting to me. As players, we often get frustrated, right? And one of the things we get frustrated on is when we just get one shot at full health. Our next topic is going to be about balancing and starter axes. They kind of correlate, especially with the topic I'm about to bring up. It feels like every single season so far in Axie Infinity, there has just been like one thing where we were just like, if you play 5 games of this, wouldn't you be able to know that this should be tuned down? And I think in today's podcast, we have a really interesting perspective on that, because 1437 does balancing for his Web3 game as well. So maybe he can give us insight and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, every single season I kind of get mind blown. That this even like made it past the testing phase. Specifically this season, I would read the patch notes. I'm like, everything seems pretty good, you know. And then all of a sudden, starters Axies drop, and I'm still like, we'll talk about starter Axies and what we think about them in a bit. And trust me, I'm pro starter Axies, but then I was just like, wait, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. How did this get through testing? Theban, let's start off with you. Can you explain a little bit about like how this stuff happens, your thoughts on the balancing in Origin so far, and what the team's up to?
Yeah. It's very simple. Like, you know, right now they're doing a lot of numerical stuff. It's very rare that they'll change like how a card actually works. But they have been changing some cards that work. Are we talking about starters or just regular balance right now?
Just balance overall.
Okay,
and
balance.
whatnot.
Yeah. So they want something stable. They want people to be able to, you know, you have all the archetypes, and now there are all these different archetypes, and they want people to be able to use the same Axies pretty much that they had in previous seasons, be able to be usable in the current season, right? Like for example, I said I didn't buy any Axies. I literally used my Axies until the last day. I used my Axies from last season in rare era, and I got as high as like 200 rank using the same Axies without like having to buy a new one. So I feel like they're already headed in the right direction. You have to spend all on runes and charms. Now, in terms of what something is OP, I think it's good for the game to have some things like that are OP here and there, because one, sometimes it's fun, especially if it's like something flashy, right? If it's something that just does crazy amount of damage, like it's really flashy, everyone's like, oh, I want that, like I want to get that, I want to figure out how to make the best team with that and whatnot. And like it's okay if it's good for one season and it phases out, but it's also good like for the market, because you know it stimulates the market. You look at free to play games, let's say like mobile games, like what was like a Mobile Legends, for example. Have you heard of that? Right, it's very popular in Southeast Asia.
For sure.
When they release a hero, they'll make it like super OP because they want people to buy the hero, right? And everybody will be like, "Oh my god, this is so good! I need to get it." They'll spend their what their gold or their diamonds, whatever it is, to
RP,
buy it.
LP, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. League of Legends, same thing, right? New hero comes out, make it super OP, everybody buys it, everybody plays it, people complain, then you nerf it, right? And now it's like you got people to spend, and that's your goal as you know, as one of the parts of one of the components of a game is to get people to spend, right? So what's the best way to make people spend than creating something that's super OP? If everything is balanced, then what reason do you have every season to buy something new? You don't.
All right, Ralo. How about your thoughts on the balancing?
I kind of, honestly, this is one of, like, aside from AXS distribution that was pretty harsh, one of the most diverse eras for me, as of like I've been playing since V2, and I had fun, to be honest. And I think the balancing team is going towards a nice place. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my opinion sucks, but it's my
Ralo says
opinion.
something positive like that. Good job.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I think it's going towards a right direction, and like it's more diverse. It feels like you can adjust some cards or some charms to win against something that's obnoxious, or at least tie. Right? You can play 4 HP on your carry, on your Aqua and Leafy, and like tie against some sustains. Then those sustains can maybe tech with an incisor to win against the ones who tech, right? And then this is something I'm like liking in a way. I think it's nice. Towards Momo, I really like something about Momo, and I dislike other things about Momo. The one thing I really like is that it gives the opportunity to mid-tier players or competitive players to like cheaply get their hands into some nice spots, right? And test their power as a competitive player, for in a sense, right? So they can, if they were smart and they knew the game, they could go to the marketplace, get two taunt Axies really cheap at that time, for, I don't know, 10, $15, and then for that price they could get themselves into challenger, for example, that maybe was something that they never experienced, right? And then you can get that player in the epic era to invest again, to play again a new team, and blah blah blah,
Exactly.
and so on and so forth. So I kind of like this purpose of the starting axis, and I dig that.
Yeah.
I do
Speaking
think,
of, go ahead.
last thing, that I do think that what's been tilting a lot of players about Momo, that's also what Steven said that was nice about Momo, like in a sense that you want to play that, is that it's not that it bursts and does a trillion damage, it's that it can target absolutely any Axie without restrictions and without losing anything. And that didn't happen before, right? So I think that's something that maybe was a little too much to me, but I didn't complain about Momo. You can check my Twitter. I'm not lying, because I thought that Momo was something that was positive for so many players, in a sense, if they were smart to cheaply play the
Hold on,
game.
hold
What
on.
I
Your team destroyed Momo. That's why you didn't complain about Momo. This guy is like,
But
no, I
bro,
didn't complain
bro,
about Momo. This guy's
Yeah,
destroying
your
Momo.
team has a 100% win rate against it,
Yeah,
sir.
but
he's got
bro,
buzz buzz. He's like,
I
I don't
was
care you taunt. I'm just gonna AoE you
I used
down.
to play Garish. I used to play Garish, and then I played Bus to win against Momo, right? But it's not like I sat down and said, "Oh fuck, this team is fucking broken," right? I was trying to do something about it, and I could. So yeah, that's why I didn't hate it probably. But last thing I want to say, last thing I want to say is that yeah, I think what's wrong, really, really wrong about starter axes is the communication they're doing with starter axes. For me, you cannot release a patch note, or well, patch note in league, but this is like an update where you tell us how cards are affected, nerfs, and buffs. We like start thinking about their eras and blah and so on and so forth, and then suddenly you wake up and you decide to public three new axes with completely new mechanics and three new runes. That's like destroying us. Like it's not good. So you
Yeah.
want to release those axes, that's fine, I'm all for it, but please do so in a mindful manner towards a player that spends 24 hours a day on your game, right? I
Yeah.
literally woke up in the
Yeah.
Topaz season at 3 a.m. and told my wife, Topaz Inolam Topaz. And she was like, "What?" And then she told me the other day, like, "Yo, you
And she
told me
took off
that
all her
Inolam
clothes after.
Topaz could win the season. I don't know." I was like, tell me what I told you. Tell me." She was like, "I don't remember, something about Topaz and Inolam." And I was like, "Yo, I need to stop playing this game. This is not fun, bro." But yeah,
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 man. So like, yeah, for me, the reason why I want to bring up Starter Axes is because I see a lot of hate for it on Twitter. A lot. Every time I open up, someone's complaining. And I've always been on Team Pro starters. I was a big fan of Puffy back then because it's so easy to onboard players. If they only have to buy 2 axes instead of 3. Obviously, the con of that is it potentially drops marketplace activity without the third axie. But overall, like I was really cool with everything. I'm fine with it being strong. I love that you can onboard players and they have a real chance to compete. That's what gets people addicted when they win, when they can climb. So maybe not to like a challenger level, but like I think they nerfed it enough so it can still reach dragon and whatnot. So that's super, super cool. But like Ralo nailed it. It's just a communication. I know players that started farms of comps like Bleed that potentially could have been good, but there's no point playing no more because of Momo coming in. Or even Poison was really strong for the first
yeah. There are
11 out of
players that
14
had their
days.
poison teams like ready, or like, yeah, this
We
is
are
my season.
all
Poison is
under the
coming in
yeah.
hot.
We
I
were
was
all
like,
under the
no.
impression that they will release something like the notes, and then we have like a week to test. We can start breeding, we can start planning around it, and then boom, meta changing stuff happens.
Yeah.
So overall, starter axes, I love them. Communication wise, could be improved. But yeah, Steven, I'm pretty sure you have some thoughts about this too.
Yeah, I mean the starter Axie stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, like to make them strong just for the rare era. I would love to see them actually balance things based off eras, right? Like for example, second turn was super OP in this rare era, right? And like everybody wanted second turn. It
Broken.
pretty much auto won you mirror matches essentially. But in Mystic Era, for example, first turn is much stronger in a lot of scenarios because you get to trigger your Mystic runes before your opponent can. So that's a pretty big deal. It's much more balanced. So I would love to see like them balance more things towards eras, and that could be where starter Axies can be like really strong during a rare era, where I feel like people shouldn't even be buying Axies during rare era. The prizes are not even worth it for the most part for them to buy Axies. And just make them strong. Let people go crazy with these Axies. Let new people try whatever stuff, and just then balance them later. Balance them before the epic era, like they did now with the new ones, right? That could be something interesting and something that could also possibly stimulate the market in terms of like, okay, people are trying to figure out how to make one of these starters work. You have like one starter, then you have two NFT axes, as you would call them, and just let's see, what you can cook up with that, right? That could be really fun. The second thing is like, people are gonna complain no matter what, right? Like that's a given. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter how much they communicate. They're gonna complain. Of course, there's things that could be avoided, and they could. And I still come back to my first point I made when we first started talking about the previous thing, is that they really need some kind of advisory team that is literally on the front lines. Like they need people who are on the front lines who are gonna know how the community is gonna react to things, and they need people like that helping them make some of these decisions sometimes, because like a lot of these things are easily avoidable, in my opinion. And the reason why people do complain is because they are very passionate. That's one. But two, they're heavily invested. And you're saying like, oh, why? You didn't complain about Momo, but you got to think about the average person in the game. The average person in this game comes in, buys one team. They can't afford to buy another team unless they sell off their Axies.
I totally get
So
it. I totally get
yeah,
it.
so
Sure.
because they can't sell off their Axies, they're committed to what they have, and now suddenly there's a starter Axie literally for free coming in and stomping their faces. They're gonna get frustrated. They can't even pivot and utilize the starter Axie because maybe they upgraded to that bubble rune or whatever it was
Well,
that people were
Binoki
playing
playing
on day
poison,
one.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they're playing poison, whatever it is. They can't even like pivot because they need to spend so much of these like materials to be able to get this rune or level up this Axie, and they can't do it, or they can't afford to like pivot and buy two more new Axies. Like I get the frustration, so it's not wrong, and they're gonna be frustrated. That's okay. It would, like you said, and I'm adding on to your point, it would just be cool if everybody just knew like, okay, this is what's going to be available during the season. Go and theorycraft. Don't complain later, because everybody had the same opportunity to come up with the answer.
Yeah. Funny story when it comes out to balancing and having someone on the front lines. I'm someone that at this point I care more about the game. Like I love this game, I love this community, more than like the financial aspects of it, right? So I just want to, I want what's better for the game, bro. I reached out to some people and I was just like, hey, just I'm in Vietnam. Let me test out the preseason patch, strip all my rewards for the season. I just want what's better for the game. I just want to like play test things and just make sure everything comes out okay. Obviously, they say no because pro players and content creators shouldn't have access to that. Otherwise, they can breed or tell their teammates and whatnot. But yeah, man, like you said, if they can get someone in the front line, just someone that would know how the community would somewhat react, or someone that could just be like, hey, maybe we don't release it. I mean, maybe we talk about this earlier, like a week or two earlier when we release the notes. Someone like that, that'd be amazing.
Well, no,
Obviously, it
I
can't
wasn't
be.
talking about the
But
patch. I wasn't talking
oh,
about the
okay,
patch
okay.
at all. Like I was talking about like for example the whole Momo thing, and like, okay, asking, okay, should we release this after the patch or before the patch? Like just basic things as to like what you want to provide to the public, right? Like the whole thing with the AXS as well, right? Like how would the public react to this? Something of that nature. I understand the whole balancing thing. You can't have people who are competing on the leaderboard be on the balancing team, and I agree with that too, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Like I was part of it, and then eventually they changed that because the community didn't like it, and I agree, and I completely understand the sentiment. What I mean is like, just things about how the community would react to certain news coming out, right? The whole thing with these two Axies being released later, the real problem is not that they were super OP. The real problem is that we just didn't know that there's gonna be like these
And
new
there needs
Axies
to be
coming in.
someone that tells them, "Yo, this is not. You need
Yeah.
to release this
Bro,
before."
there are people who upgraded to get Bubble Shooter so they can play Triple Owl Aqua, right? Before the era started, and suddenly Momo comes out, and now you can't upgrade your Momo. You're like, what the hell? Like you don't have
Yeah.
the that,
I literally in the
that's what we're
coaching
talking
stream, I
about.
told like 9 people, like, "Yo, sell your owl, profit out of that, and get Momo." I were like, "I don't have any coins or whatever. I don't know the name,
Yeah,
whatever."
no more
Yeah,
And
the
I
upgrades and
was like,
materials
whatnot.
to be able to
"Bro,
upgrade.
then
Yeah.
you'll lose to every Momo." I were like, "Fuck,
I'm
bro."
cute. Literally, I'm cute is an Axie champion, right? And I asked him why he's not playing Momo. It's because he already invested into the little owl and have enough upgrades for Momo and whatnot. So he was
Yeah.
stuck with the owls. But yeah, good
You
point.
told me
Even
it
for
was
someone like
good,
him,
bro.
it was hard. The gate kept by the materials and whatnot. But yeah, that's enough of that topic. Let's shift on to the next topic. I heard someone mention V2. And this all kind of correlates with each other. Esports, the direction SM's heading with the buy-in tournaments, the V2 buy-in and whatnot. These will all kind of mesh together, so we could just talk about it. So for I often see it a lot, and I know we have strong opinions on Origins versus V2. The V2 buy-in tournament got announced, and it was really really hyped. I thought everyone would be really really interested in it. And this correlates because yeah, I feel like a lot more tournaments are going to be buy-in focused, but then also I'm also curious like what's stopping a bunch of players from signing up. I was checking the signups yesterday, and it's still only like 120 players out of the 512, even though it's been out and the tournament's in like 2 days. What is everyone's opinions on that? Like, what was all this V2 hype and everyone being nostalgic about V2, but then once they release a V2 event, it doesn't generate much interest. What's going on with that? We'll start with Ralo this time.
I have mixed feelings on this tourney. I really love B2. I know this is a complicated topic, but I really love B2. It was one of the best times of my life playing V2. But I really love Origins now as well. So I'm not trying to say which one is better. I don't really care. I do think that I don't know. I think I maybe misread, but when they released the Twitter where they said we're gonna have this huge V2 tourney with 1,024 AXS prize pool, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm in it. Like I was thinking, okay, I gotta buy this Axis because I don't have, I don't know, the slow bug, or and I was like, I was getting into it, right? I was like, okay, I'm down. And then I opened this like Substack, right? Is that what they use? And then I start seeing, I'm like, wait, this is not 1K24 AXS actually. It was like if 512 players join this tourney, then we'll match one AXS per player, and the total maximum AXS would be 1K, but they would put only 50%. So I didn't really like their approach towards the Twitter post because I felt like it was kind of scammy, right? It was kind of, yo,
Disingenuous is what you
1K.
mean?
Yeah, it's what I felt. It's not what I like. It's just my feelings, right? So then I felt like fuck it, like I'm not gonna play this. Like pay one AXS and stuff, and then I don't mind the AXS buy-in. Actually, I don't think it's something wrong. But what I'm saying is, don't don't marketing your tourney like it's a 1K AXS tourney if it's only 512 you're putting in. If we reach a number that it's never going to be reached, it was never reached for Barcelona as well. V2 qualifiers didn't have 500 players. It's not going to have 500 players now with a buy-in. So I think the number of available players was too much for me. I think tops 256 or even 128 because I think it generates more hype
It would create a
towards
more bigger
getting in.
demand.
Yeah, to getting in the turn is like, oh, it's 64, 80 people, 100. Okay, I gotta get in, right? But 512, I don't really dig that number because I think it was never gonna be filled up. And then, well, the marketing approach I didn't like as well. But I think it's something cool to try to, I don't know, get some people into the game. I would appreciate if they made an Origins tourney, so when you buy an Axie, you have two uses for it, not only leaderboards. And now this feels like you need to buy Origin Axies for three different eras, and then you need to get the V2 Axies that are actually expensive. Maybe people don't know, but V2 perfect Axies are expensive. You don't get them for cheap.
I went
So
shopping.
no, they're very expensive. So and the perfect ones you can't even get, right? You need to ask them from Theban or Seba Pozo or someone, right? So I don't know. It feels like I'm not really into it, but I understand where it comes from. I would appreciate different communication
All right. How about you,
approaches.
1437? What are your thoughts on all this? I know you have something you want to say.
I mean, I saw it, like, it didn't excite me even to the slightest. This is how I see things, okay? And maybe this is gives you a, like an insight to my mind and how it's working. I see V2 and Origin. Origin is like my current girlfriend, right? And V2 is my ex. Yeah. So my ex is like, hey, you want to go out with me? Like trying to poke at me here, right? And I'm like, listen, we broke up for a good reason, right? We moved on. We've been here for like however long, and why not now here comes the ex, and I'm just like, okay, you want me back? You have to prove it to me, right? You have to prove to me that you want me back. And this is not like this little one time thing that you just, here for, right? Because, baby, you're expensive, Like I went through some crazy shit with V2, right? Like I dedicated my time, I dedicated everything, I like all my powers, I played hard, I won a season, I did very well in tournaments, and then like all of a sudden here you drop this Origins, and Origins is actually kind of like the arranged marriage that you knew was gonna come, but you didn't want, right? But then here you are, you're forced into it. So it's like whatever, I'm in
And now you
Origins
have a
now.
kid, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah. So
to,
it's
yeah.
like I'm like, so let's see. If I'm gonna play B2, I'm not gonna play in this tournament because I have no reason to play in it. Even if I have some really good Axies, like me having to go back, relearn everything in B2, play for this whatever it is, and like also maybe you have to pick up a few more Axies and train while I'm still playing a season of Origins. That's just too much. Like the cost versus time versus opportunity cost, whatever, like all this stuff, it just didn't make sense to me, you know?
Also, zero Origins tourneys happening in that time, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like if let's say this continues to happen and there's some consistency and there's like a lot of uh you know support around it in terms of like the people who are playing, let's say these tournaments start filling out and there's already like 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 already. Okay, now I'm like, all right, we're cooking. You know what I mean? Maybe it's worth for me to like, you know, uh, take some time away from Origin to be able to play V2 and see what's up. But like until then, it just seems like, it's just like a one night stand, with your ex. Whatever.
Yeah, bouncing off on that, man. Actually, I do like how they're hearing out like the community. There's genuinely a huge part that still want V2. I saw someone in chat say they don't want it for this reason, like a tournament reason, but for other reasons. But I'm like, well, if that's the case, I'm pretty sure they want like money on leaderboards, which is still a competitive thing. So it's kind of like, eh. I think it's a good initiative. I wish it kind of happened during off season for sure. Even I'd be more interested in playing it if Origins wasn't going on. I didn't have to split my finances or my focus. um, but overall, yeah. Hey, V2 players, I feel you. That's why I'm still single. I keep going back to my ex. But look at Theban. He's moved on. We should take his approach. But all jokes aside, yeah, I'm pretty sure like SM doesn't have enough resources to, do all the upgrades that V2 needs to hit all the visual updates and whatnot. But is there ever a world where you guys think man, what if like we went all in on V2? What if we had six
Oh
packs? What
yeah,
if we had runes and charms in
dude.
V2?
I thought about that a
Easy.
lot back then before Origins dropped. This is something like I know people at Sky Mavis. Like I when I talk with them about V2 before Origins was coming, I don't know if you guys know this. I played Origins one day and I was like, this game is completely unskilled. I tweeted that, and I think
I remember
everyone
about
was
that
like,
too.
why is he saying that? Blah blah blah. And look where we are, right? But like that's all it took. It took me one day to play the game to know what it's like. Now it's a lot better than it was back then, right? It was horrendous when it first came out. It's a lot better now. But B2 was this incredible game that like it could have rivaled in terms of how challenging it is. It could have rivaled like tier 1 S tier games that are in Web 2, right? The reason why they went to Origins is because they wanted something that could have an infinite loop, right? Something like that's so addictive and like something where you can keep progressing and whatever, and more towards casuals, because they felt like they wanted to get millions of people. But then they abandoned this masterpiece of a game. Not every game needs to have an infinite loop. Like Dota doesn't have some infinite loop, League doesn't have an infinite loop, CSGO doesn't have infinite loops. They're just really difficult games where people have to use their talent, their skill, their knowledge, everything. And that's what V2 was. It's just unfortunate that it just became our X.
Yeah. All right.
I was very
Let's talk
sad. I
about
remember I was sad.
yeah. Let's talk about like esports and like us as pro players and everything like that. I know we are kind of frustrated that there's no tournaments because right now, back then you could buy an Axie and it'd be good on ladder and in tournament. A lot of us, believe it or not, we don't make money on ladder. Genuinely, if you guys ever tracked how much I spent on my ladder teams, I just tried to like break even for content and everything like that. Most of my money's won during tournaments. So without like a tournament, without like with everything being unclear about esports, and it seems like we're heading in like a buy-in direction and whatnot. I was wondering your thoughts on that. Personally, for me, um, you know, dude, they showed out like a $2 million esports grant, right, for us during a bear market, and I'm not sure that's sustainable. I'm not sure if they could have done it again this year, right? It almost yielded them like no return. Most of the tournaments were scuffed. The best ones didn't even have the viewership that we were expecting and whatnot. So I understand why like things like buy-ins are more traditional and like card games and whatnot. But yeah, how do you guys feel about the future of esports? Are you optimistic? Do you think they'll get it right? Um, and yeah, we'll start with 1437 this time.
Let Ralo go first. I just talked a lot.
Ralo, go ahead.
I'm just
Ralo,
gonna
go
have some
ahead, sir.
water and then.
Can I just say that, like a little commentary? I just want to know
Go ahead. Of
something.
course. Mhm,
Just one question, because it's in my mind and I need to know.
mhm.
What, like, do you approve Axie draft? Just say yes or no. That's all I need.
I like it, bro, but I think,
Okay,
bro, yeah,
okay. Just all I need. Do you like it or not? You like
yeah.
it. Steven, do you
Everyone
like
loves
it?
draft. Every card game.
Did you see the proposal?
So I was actually taking a break from Twitter during that time. So I
Okay.
saw it like weeks later, but I thought it was really cool. I liked how the video was well made and everything. I think it's amazing. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
great.
I will go. That will be a different topic later on, but yes, I know you're very passionate about that, and you have the right
I'm
to be because
passionate,
it is
bro.
an amazing initiative. All right, but
I know.
yeah,
Because I think
we
it was kind of related in a sense that it's an extra game mode to leaderboard. And that's more of the point I think you were making, right?
yeah, for
I think
sure.
tourneys are 50-50 for me, at least. I understand that not for the most or the majority of players it is, but for me it was a 50-50, even more so 60-40 towards leaderboard, towards tourneys, in a sense that it was very important for me. And it was a very interesting way to buy Axis. What I mean is, maybe you think, okay, this might be good for leaderboards, but I have, I don't know, Vietnam in 2 weeks. So it had another sense to investing in the market, right? For example, Theban said right now or back then that he didn't invest into new teams for this rare era, that he didn't feel like he was like doing the things that he usually did. And I think tourneys are something that, like, in a way or in a sense, foment, I don't know what's the wording, but like increase the chances that you go into the marketplace
Okay, let
and
me just
buy
correct you
Axie
really
contest
quick.
that.
Like, I'm probably a bad example of that because I don't play tournaments, right?
I
So
know,
I
but
only played one tournament. Um, LSL. Apart from that, I didn't play any. So I'm a bad
you
example. I
won,
get what
right?
you mean.
But
Like
you won.
people, yeah, I did, but like I get what you mean. Like you just that, like it's very true though, because especially during the dead times, during these tournaments was actually when there was a lot of like random Axies being bought for like 0.15 to like 0.225, whatever. Is because you got like 150, 200 people signing up for these tournaments, and they all want to like upgrade themselves because you need to have like 3 different teams essentially to be able to play.
Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think there needs to be a balance in a sense that we don't like, oh yeah, fuck tourneys. We just make a what's the wording? Grant, but this new grant is like you apply, and if we think your idea is cool and we like your beard, then we tell you, yeah, okay, let's do a couple of tourneys. And I mean, I appreciate it. I like it. Like, thanks for that. But I think that it's not what we really need as a core community. I think we need structure. What Sayori did, I think it was perfect with Oxasiano and Stewart, who were part of their team. And like having an Excel with the tourneys that are coming. And I don't know. I know that in 1 month I have this very big tourney for a qualifier, and like you kind of look forward to. And I think it's another type of leaderboard that we really, really need. It doesn't matter what type of player you are. It doesn't matter if you're top one, top 1K, top 10K. Because I remember playing tournaments of other games when I was shit, bro. But I like competing. Like, do you think chess players are all grandmasters? They're not, right? And sometimes they get smacked, and sometimes they smack. But I think there's a misconception of tourneys being only for pro players and the best in the game. It's not that. Like, it's not like that. You can have luck. You can have a good wallet against someone's wallet. There's a million things in the game that can help you to win some games. So I think that we should like focus really hard on like trying to get the tournament scene going. And I think
That's what I was
E4E does a
wondering,
great
Ralo.
job every season doing that. But I think we need more than E4E
So you know how you said that, like, okay, it's just not
and
catered to pros
LSL.
and
Sorry.
whatnot. So like you know how you said that it's not just catered to pros. People want to join just because to be competitive. Well, now this time you have to buy in for it. So I was wondering your thoughts on the whole buy-in system. Is this a good thing or a bad thing, or is this gonna further split like the top players who will like easily want to spend each time, rather than like those casuals that used to just join with the old esports grant? Like, what do you think is a better structure? Maybe Thieben can go now.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
need to think. Yeah, Thebes.
yeah,
Go, please.
it's really weird because to buy in, you need to have a lot of confidence in yourself, right? You need to have confidence that you have the ability to be able to get more than what you bought in for. Not everybody is capable of that, and knowing like how Axie has been curated for this past like years,
Yeah.
I think it's going to
Yeah.
be very difficult for people to buy in because there's I would like, for lack of better words, majority are like extractors, sort of say. I'm using quotes here because like that's just the name of the game at this point. Um, so maybe if this continues on, it can develop into something better. What I
Can I
would
ask
love
you
to see.
something, Thebes?
What's up?
Because sorry, I interrupt you. Do you think that the people who earn the most are the people who take the most, or you think that the people who earn the most are usually the people who reinvest the most? Sorry for the
I
most.
think it really depends on the individual. But the one who makes the most probably reinvest the most because they want to keep the loop going. Because you can't keep getting more if you don't reinvest it. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So you got
Yeah.
the infinite loop. Um, I think most of the people who are just purely extracting are the ones who like just keep the same team season after season and just like get what they can in a season and just be happy with it. And that's okay. That's completely fine because you're still providing value by being player liquidity, essentially, right? That's important. Yeah, so like what I think could help the tournament, for me, it's like I don't want to sign up for something and show up at this hour or whatever and play for like the small price. What I would love to see is like I want something in the game, a lobby system in the game where like blind has to be blind. There's no other way that you can make it blind, because if you don't make it blind, it's like really bad. I think you just have a lobby system. Let's say like 8-person lobby. You click in there. You have AXS in your inventory. You pay the AXS. You go join and you wait for the lobby to fill, and boom, here we start an 8-man tournament with a great prize. And
Yeah, that's a lot better, a lot less
that
intimidating too.
that's better than like having something where people have to sign up on like some Substack or blah blah blah, whatever, like all these like hula hoops, like you gotta freaking go through. Like just get me in
100%
the
better.
get me in the game. Let me just queue up when I want to, and let me play the game. Let me be free, and let's just get something rolling, right? And there could be different structures for the AXSs. It could be like this could be 5 AXS buy-in, this could be 3, this could be 2, there could be 100 AXS buy-in if you want. Like just give the opportunity and let the players decide how they want to play. Don't like force it on the players. Be like, okay, here's 512 players, do this at this hour, blah blah blah. It's too rigid, but I get it. It's just the prototype, right? This is just them starting stuff out. When they did the Origins one, I think it was only top 8 who got paid out, but now it's like they're paying out for like the first 120 something players in the V2 one.
I think if you sign up and win one game, you roy.
Yeah, right now for the amount of players that are there, you will win something at least. But it's all, they're just learning. They're trying to figure out like what works and what doesn't work. It's just, in my humble opinion, having it in the game is what they should work on and figure it out, and give the flexibility to the players to be able to create the lobbies, and then they will find it out themselves. You got this 40k whatever players are playing, they will do it. Like you're using the minds of 40,000 people instead of just like, okay, here's a small little competitive team in SM, like trying to figure it out with just like the few of them that they're there.
Yeah, I like it. Let's just continue being patient and whatnot. And I have confidence they'll get it right for sure.
I think so
great
too.
Thoughts, great feedback. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Before we do our last few topics and our AMA, I just want to give a quick shout out to Moku. Today they have a quest where if I give you a hint to a secret code, you enter that secret code. I think it's worth like 3,000 points. So if you guys don't know what Moku is, you can win Genkai free Axies on there and everything like that. So make sure you check out their site. So I do have to give a hint, and maybe no one spoil it because I think you guys would know as well. This hint's worth a lot of points. So on their website right now, the secret code for today's stream is going to be, if you look at the flyer for today's stream, not the paint one, but the official one.
So look at the paint one. Okay.
No, official one. What do all 3 pictures have in common? No one answer. Let everyone in chat figure it out themselves and enter it on Moku. By the way, if you spoil it out to chat, more people will have a chance of taking your Genkai and whatnot. So be careful. Let's go on to our next topic here, right? Our next topic is a lot of new players are actually here today. A lot of people have came from Moku or from the Genkai community. On my stream, I've been having a lot of new players join chat and whatnot. They always ask the same thing. They ask about earnings. Hey, can you earn? Or even returning players. We have some of some people here who have made a career out of Axie, especially being a competitive player and whatnot. I want to talk more about the life of an esports player, especially from people like you who come from the top. And you guys that have to balance families and everything like that. I want to know how much it takes. What is your daily routine? Everything I need to know before considering quitting my job and doing this for a living, because a lot of people are actually very, very interesting and they are aspiring pros. We'll start off with who wants to start? You guys choose.
Ralo.
This game took everything from me, bro.
Oh my god.
I'm just capping. But bro, it takes so much time, so much dedication, so much passion. At least for me. Maybe there's some maybe Theban is, I don't know, a machine that does it all in 30 minutes, but for me it takes the whole day, every day. And it's a 24-hour job for me because you're always thinking, always thinking. And well, the pressure of the last days, of course, is something you can handle. Theban, I think, is someone that can talk about that much better than me because of his experience. But my only experience is Axie. I try to improve like through time, but that day for me is like it's so stressful. Last day of ladder is there's so much on the line and there's a mix of feelings and stuff. But overall, like the day-to-day basis, I'd say is be prepared to invest money, be prepared to make bad decisions, be prepared to sometimes, very few times, make some great decisions and enjoy them, and be prepared to be stressed your ass out. At least that's my perspective. I think there are millions of humans who can take it other way, but like for me, and especially I think Latam players can relate. Um, like Latam is a place, not every part of Latam, but usually a lot of countries in Latam have a bad economy, right, compared to the U.S. dollar. So we're working for USD, and that has a real impact for us, since the people who make USD here are like, I don't know. I won't say rich, but like you have a benefit.
Ballers.
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 so so yeah, like if it was in our currency, I think it wouldn't have been like as stressful. But like, yeah, winning in USD and Latam is a huge thing. I think Filipinos can relate as well. I'm not sure about their economy. I'm just talking nonsense. But yeah, I think it's not as easy as it sounds or looks. It's a 24-hour job, at least for me.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, here, bro, we have someone that's won it four times, five times, six. I lost count actually, to be honest. Um, and I still to this day, I get so surprised to how he does it, man. Having I struggle to barely be at the top or and whatnot. And then this guy over here is making it look easy. Is it as easy as it looks? 1 4 3 7, or like
Oh,
what do you
definitely
do there?
not. Come on, man. You can answer that question yourself. You guys all every season, you guys always try to aim to be the best, and like you know how hard it is just to even be able to reach top 10. Like just being able to be there is like a freaking the most difficult thing that you can imagine. You got to understand, like in every sport or esport, it's the same thing, man. It's all about the same thing, the amount of work you put in, or like what how you play or how you mind things and all that stuff. It all adds up, right? Like, but when you get to the point where I am at, sometimes like I know what it took from me, and the only witness to all of that is actually probably my wife, right? To what
Same,
actually
same.
happens. Like even my teammates, or like in my guild, or even you guys who like observe me every day, like you probably wouldn't know like half of it, right? Like for me, it got to the point where people can't believe it for whatever reason, and they're like, "Oh, this guy must be cheating," or some shit, and like they'll start like spreading rumors and stuff, shit like that, and I'm just like, better than
I've
that,
seen some
right? Like,
crazy rumors, bro. It's
bro,
crazy.
don't worry, we can talk about that too. It's just like the funniest shit like I've ever read, like, and I'm just like, okay. And me, knowing me, like I will go and call those people out, right? There have been people I have to go out and call. I'm like, are you stupid? Like I would literally be like that. Like, are you actually gonna say shit like that? Like, and then it's just absurd to me. I think a lot of people, in my opinion, my humble opinion, they're lazy, right? And most of the time, it's lazy people who make excuses about these kind of things, where like they don't understand that the amount of dedication and hard work that most of these guys put in to be able to reach the level that they're at. That's how I've always envisioned it. Even when I played, Dota, for example, right? Like even in Dota, I was at the top of my game as a player and a coach. Throughout the years, I've hit my lows, I've hit my highs, and all that, and all those things are just experiences, that you just utilize moving forward in life.
Yeah, man. Like you guys said, life of a pro is not easy, man. That's why I give so much respect for you guys to balance it. Before I went pro, like, I had to break up with my girlfriend. I left my job in order to commit full time, and even then, I could barely compete with you guys, right? Just so for any like aspiring pros and whatnot, I do think it can be a good living. Like if we're making this much during a bear market or in the past year, especially when next bull run comes around, like the money's gonna be there and whatnot. So you guys can prep for that and everything. But just know it's gonna take a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of dedication. Um, I've literally stalked 1 for 3 sevens Ronan before and watched him play for 16 hours straight on like the last 2 3 days, the most pressured days. And it's quite crazy. And Rallo's the same. Even in rare era, when the money's not even that good, you see how much time you put into it. Like, it's crazy, man. But like I
10
said, I think
days,
everyone's
literally.
capable. Origins is not a game where you need insane reflexes or mechanics. It just takes time and work ethic. Honestly,
Last 3 days, I slept on my couch there. 5 a.m. woke up 9 a.m. had my kid like
Nice.
help take out the trash stuff and then go back to the PC and
Yeah.
ask myself why I was doing this to me. But at the end, it pays off, right? But yeah, it's not the best of the feelings.
You know,
It's not-
being a pro, it has a lot to do with like your age as well. You know, like
I didn't know
if
that.
you're young, if you're like 14 years old or 15 or whatever, and you're starting out and you're just in school, like that's actually your golden years to like develop
18
a
and over
habit.
only in this game, okay, sir?
Yeah, I mean,
18 and
whatever.
21.
I know there's a few guys out there who are underage and still playing. I've seen it, but you know what I mean, right? Like for me with Dota, I started when I was 14. You know, that's when I first started playing Dota, and like that's when I developed the skills to be able to compete. Because if I started at like 19, there was no freaking way I would have been able to be a pro Dota player because I would have like not had the habits or the talent or the skill, whatever, and I wouldn't have had the time. That's the most important thing is the time, right? So if you're a new guy out there and you want to play competitively, like I will tell you, like unless you're financially capable, and if you're not financially capable, you have to look at the risk versus reward ratio if it's worth it. And if those things are not like adding up for you, then don't even start because you're just gonna burn yourself out, right? Like being a competitive player, especially in a game like Axie, is the same as being a businessman, right? Like out of how many businesses do actually succeed from the ones that start every year, right? I don't know, 10%, whatever the number may be, is probably the same percentage for you to be successful, maybe if not like worse, for you to actually succeed.
I started playing chess, like studying chess, I would say at 19, and I instantly realized I would not be able to like compete at a high level, right? Because I was too late to the party. Like in chess, there are IMs that are 8 years old, literally. So it's IM is a title, right? So it's like time is really, really important if you want to succeed. I do think that card games are a little more flexible.
Oh, they're
in a
more
sense.
friendly for sure. Yeah,
Friendly, flexible, yeah, for sure. But it's not a walk in the park for sure. It's not like it sounds sometimes. But yeah, I agree 100%.
All right. And then last topic before we go into our AMA, I just want to hear like your general thoughts on Origin itself, man. I've been having a lot of questions about it. I've been seeing a lot more positive feedback about it, which is really good. Like today like there's just things in general. I'm talking about how much it costs to play, the crafting system, them taking away runes and charms, free ones, anything. It could be about anything. Them adding like visual health bar when instead they could be putting the resources towards like fixing bugs and whatnot. Let's just talk about that and like how you see the game going forward. Are we going to be set up? Is this going to be a good product by the time next bull run runs and everything?
Can I throw a little piece of hate? Can I start? I want to be a little hateful.
Yes,
Just
but you have to
little.
follow it up with a compliment, okay?
Okay, I'm down. Okay. The health bar, okay?
I knew this is where it was going.
Bro,
I knew this is where it's starting.
I appreciate your efforts, okay? I understand your efforts. I understand this might be a new mechanic coming soon, and I love you guys, and you're the best. But please understand that we players deal with complete nonsense every day. I'm playing a game for $500 and I can't see my cards, and then suddenly a card pops out that I don't want to play, and I lose that game. That cannot happen. I'm chilling there, like, hi, I'm Ralo, and then minus 100 MMR, right? I know this is addressed. I don't want to talk about decay and stuff, but what I'm saying is there are very sensible issues that I think that need to be addressed, even though it's not part of the same team before. Just because community is gonna blow up, right? It's like you take out a health bar that has complete. It doesn't make any sense for nothing, but you don't do QOL is the wording, quality of life improvements that are actually useful. For example, putting your mouse over an Axie and that giving you the percentage health it has, that's something that is so simple and could improve sometimes the gameplay. Knowing when your leaf bug or puppy has 3 leaves or 4 cocoons, uh, like minimum stuff that can improve the game, and then we take out this health bar. I'm kind of tilted, uh and I don't want to be the guy that tells you like don't do stuff. I like that they're trying to improve the game, but please bear in mind the order of which the things come out, because sometimes it feels like you're not working towards something, and it's like, bro, this is floor stuff, right? And then you can do, I don't know, the twin towers or whatever,
Okay,
the
let me
biggest building in
let
the
me go
room.
off of what you said, right?
Okay,
Let's actually say why they did it, right?
I mean,
Let's actually say why they did it, right?
hyperventilating, bro.
The reason why they did it is because there's probably someone out there close to them that's like, oh, who's winning, right? Asking a very simple question: who's winning? How do we know who's winning? You know, like maybe new people coming in watching the game, they don't understand. So I think the health bar is supposed to be an assistance for new people to be like, oh, okay, I'm losing the game or I'm winning the game, blah blah blah. And again, this all comes together with their goal of mass adoption and, like, you know, starting the engine up again, right? And like in Origins, it's not easy to know like who's really winning if you're just new to the game. The problem is they didn't think the idea all the way through, right? Like this is what I mean by having an advice, like having someone advise them on certain situations. I wrote on the Twitter, I'm like, I think I'm the only one who said this too. I hope they don't release this without giving the option to turn it off in the settings, right? So now you have this giant bar on your screen. I was gonna say dick, but you know, it's a giant bar on your screen that's just there that you can't remove it, even though you don't need it for any reason, and it
And then
might
you
even
kill an
mess with
Axie,
you.
and you can't see like the damage you do.
Yeah, I mean, you already can't see the damage you do after you kill an Axie because the revenge cards show up before, right?
True, true, true. Yeah.
You already couldn't see it, but now it's worse, whatever. But the point is like they could have avoided all of this if one person in the room was like, oh, maybe we should have it. Maybe we should give them the option to turn it off. You know, like that's what I mean. Like you can avoid, because sometimes they're not thinking about like this. That, like I said, this goes back to my first ever point I made today. They're really good at delivering stuff, but it always takes the effort of the community to like make it perfect, sort of, because they get good ideas, they run with the good ideas, but sometimes they don't think about how would the community react, or how could this be bad, right? These are very key questions that need to be asked whenever you're going to deliver something, and I feel like sometimes, you know, it's lacking there. That's it. That's all there is to it. I don't think there's anything really wrong with the health bar as long as there's the ability to turn it off.
Yeah. Hey man, first of all, before I start, my opinions about the health bar, you owe me a free Axie or something because you demonetized me with your 2 curse words so far on stream, sir. All right.
I
No, I'm
demonetize
kidding.
you?
No, 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 no. I'm joking. I'm joking. This is a
My
YouTube joke.
bad. I'm sorry.
I,
I didn't know
I
that.
already said fuck, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I heard
Don't
it.
worry.
But yeah, the
Alright.
health bar, you know, it'd be so funny. Like, what if it's just like, you know, it's there. It looks, by the way, it looks off. It doesn't look like it belongs. Like maybe change the color or
Yeah.
something, the
Yeah,
graphic.
it doesn't look good.
But
It's not
it'd be so
aesthetically pleasing for sure.
it'd be so funny if like they added it there and they might regret it now because of the feedback, and they might have to add a mechanic later just because we're all like expecting something. We're like, oh, is this for a future like team mechanic? Oh, your team gets a bonus at like 50% or rage or something like that. But it'd be so funny they're just like, okay, yeah, let's add that now, you know. But yeah, for now, like I understand this is probably a step to something bigger. So yeah, just having a toggle button or just not like releasing it into the product's finish. I feel like a toggle button is definitely doable. By the way, um,
They
yeah.
could,
Let's just
if they wanted to, they could put that out tomorrow, and I hope they
yeah.
put it out tomorrow. But I get the feeling that it won't happen.
It just looks weird. It looks weird, but you know what? It's of all the critique I have, I'm not gonna like put too much energy into that.
No.
For sure.
Talking about like Origins itself, man.
Yeah.
The gameplay has evolved a long way since season 0, and I know that because I've casted games in like every single season. Most recently in LSL, I was watching your tournament, 1437, and I was casting it myself. And for the first time ever in Origins, I was just like, wait, I can't call out every play, every correct play. There's actually options now. I'm like, wait, what play is he gonna do this time? What's gonna be the best play? So I feel like we're taking great progress and great steps in that sense. How do you guys feel about the gameplay? You feel like more layers can be added on? Like, are we on a good pace, or are you guys still frustrated by lack of skill and whatnot?
I like the game. I think it's really good. I think there's a lot of options now available for every player. You can play multiple different archetypes. You can play different play styles. Even within different archetypes, there's different builds that are available, which wasn't the case when we first started out. And it's been working towards something great. I want to give a huge shout out to the balancing team. I think they're doing a great job, no matter how much hate that people put out there. I think they're doing great, and I know how difficult it is. What I will say though is like there's some aspects that I don't like. For example, last season was a season I really disliked in the Mystic era because like you got like Jinx and Sustain being this crazy super strong build that you had to pretty much hard counter in some ways, and it just made the games very boring. Like I'm not a fan of like these games that drag out 15-20 minutes, like I had a Sustain game that lasted me 20 minutes. Like, bro, are you serious? I'm gonna play that sometimes a gaming session I run is like 20 minutes, right? So that's just really weird to me. I think Blood Moon is something that I would love to see them change somehow. I'm just not a fan of how Blood Moon runs, even till now. What the new changes it pretty much didn't really change much at all. It's still pretty much the same thing, and I want to see something different. I feel like there could be a good balance and a healthy balance. I just not a huge fan of like, okay, some games can just take 3 minutes and some games can take 20 minutes. Like I like the consistency of knowing how much time I need to dedicate. Like that's pretty much my only problem with the game, and that's a great problem to have. Like that's all they have to alternate, because other than that, I feel like the direction that they're heading in is amazing.
How about you, Ralo? How do you feel about Origins? One of its biggest critics, but also one of its biggest fans. Where are you at with the game at the moment? The gameplay
I
itself, ignoring
really
economics and
like the
everything.
game. I really like the game. I really like it. I think it's going towards a great place. Once hated it. Like Steven called it out when he played it once. I had basically the same thing feeling. It was like, oh, I'm playing adventure for the rest of my life now. But then the game started getting more intricate and like interesting, and then like you had to test teams and build archetypes, and then breeding got like interesting as well. So I think the game is going to a great place. Shout out to Hale. It's the one I talk to sometimes, and I think he's catching up. Like he's like this meme of this guy like holding the door like, "Ah!" I think Hale is doing that job really good. And like, yeah, I really like the game state. I think Blood Moon is not good. I don't like it, but I think it's not the worst. Like I think it could be improved and change the mechanic, but I don't really like. It's like, oh my god, this is the worst mechanic in the game. I think it's not good, but it's not the worst. And towards times in games, I do think like sometimes control can take a little longer. So, for example, if usual games take 5 minutes, I'm down for control games to take 8, 9, tops 10 minutes. but I do think that 20 minutes is too much, or
What's
15 or whatever.
what's a control team? Can you tell me what a
Something that
control
we,
team is?
yeah, something that we don't have in Axie right now, but we
So
will
then it
have
doesn't
some
exist. So why are we
point
talking
in
about
time.
it?
No, what I'm
I
trying
wanted
to
to know. I
explain.
was confused. I was like, what is a
No, no, no.
control team? What do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
consider a control
We
team?
don't have that in Axie right now. The point I'm trying to make is that it's understandable for a game to have a time span, right? Some games take 5, some games take 8, maybe 10, maybe 11 tops, but you can't go from 5 to 20, and I agree with that point.
Actually
And
the most sustained teams you play against, it'll take 15 minutes if you're both
well,
like, yeah, that's what
good players,
from
right?
that's what normally happens. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I mean is, I would try to take sustain towards a control state and not
yeah,
to a sustained state. I even think the word sustain, it defines the problem of the archetype. It's like it's
yeah,
called
Yeah.
yeah,
sustain, bro. It's just sustaining. We don't want a team that sustains. We want a team that controls. And
yeah.
I would like that. I would like a team that's obnoxious and that like don't lets you never lets you play and like heals or whatever. But sustain is not a healthy thing for me. I do understand that there are a lot of sustained players out there, and I don't want them to like die or never play the game again. I just want that meta to shift, the archetype to change its name to control, and we'll be happy. I think they'll be happy as well.
Yeah,
But
so
aside
that's
from
really
that,
refreshing. Yeah,
I
this is
dig.
all really refreshing to hear because like when the gameplay itself is good and it's coming from the feedback's coming from people who play this literally 24 hours a day. That's a really, really good sign. I think economics will always figure themselves out and everything in the bull runs easy. You just toss out money everywhere. All that kind of stuff will eventually figure itself out. I was just more worried about the gameplay and what you guys thought of it. Is this going to be a game that can be really, really good? I think we are shifting more towards a great balance of casual and competitive. You know, I felt like V2 was like just way, way, way too competitive, and that's the main reason why they wanted to make Origins. It would onboard, it will appeal to more people and whatnot. So I'm feel like we're getting a better mix and a good balance, and that's really, really good. In terms of like sustain, um, yeah, no, but you guys described it pretty well. I pretty much agree with your sentiment and whatnot.
You don't want any
Um,
drama, huh?
Well, I hate sustain. I don't want to sound biased, but at least you guys have played it before, so people will take your feedback. Okay.
FIBA never played sustain. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, he's
I did for a tournament.
I think he
Well,
did.
I'm not counting that because it's what you need to do, right? But every time you had the chance to not play,
Listen,
you didn't play.
I have self-respect. I'm not gonna play sustain on ladder. Come on, bro. I got
Bro.
self-respect.
Bro, you can tell me that about the tassels back, but playing sustain, bro, I try to play the best team. That's all I want to do every time. But yeah, I know. I can improve. I can be a better human, bro. I made mistakes. Like the doc said. Even doc disrespect. God damn it, man. Fucking mistakes, bro. I made it, but I can improve. And now I'm a better human. So if you want
Let's
to flame me, go to twitter.com/Radio Ralo and flame me there. I'll be ready, bro.
I'll give one more hint for the Mokuko before we hop into our AMA. If you look at the official flyer for this podcast, there's one thing in common with all three pictures of us. Maybe location, maybe I don't know what it was. Anyways, let's hop into AMA. All
Axie
right,
Con?
chat. I don't know, man. It could be anything. I don't know where Rallo's might not correlate with that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
let's hop
I'm
into
there.
AMA and let's if you guys have any questions at all, these are some of the most honest people I know. They'll give you blunt feedback, especially so don't be shy, and maybe it could lead into another topic and whatnot. So we're opening the floor to questions now for the last 20 minutes of the stream. Anyone have anything to say? Nope,
questions
legit
that
questions,
we can
please.
answer.
regarding regarding Axie Infinity or Ronin or anything, or our opinions on anything. Don't be shy, guys. But yeah, in the meantime, while we wait for questions and whatnot.
Axie draft. Axie draft. Axie draft. You
Need to ask
So,
Nathan what he
so
thinks with
someone
the
says
end season
sustain
era.
is the cheap option to play. Bro, I've been seeing sustain be the most expensive Axies being bought
wait.
for season
Yeah,
after
true.
season sometimes. Okay. I literally saw 2 reptiles last week being bought for 0.1 ETH. It was probably the apart from the Nemo Leafy Aqua
Yeah,
be the
and
most expensive Axie bought. All
you
right.
know the one who
So
bought it was the credit card accuser. I'm just gonna say that.
what's a credit card accuser?
You don't remember someone that accused pro players of being credit card abusers? Like they
Nah.
pay to win and stuff. I remember that guy buying this credit
Oh, I
card.
think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
My boy Chuck. Now
yeah.
Chuck's cool, man. Listen, Chuck is just a troll. Like I
I
think
know, I
Chuck,
know. I'm trolling
Chuck's
him
a,
right now.
to me Chuck
We
is a
gotta
Chuck.
get Chuck on the next podcast, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think Chuck's a
please,
very
please.
funny guy.
I know.
I love my banter with him, but I'm good. I'm sure we've you know settled that
Shaking hand.
already.
You
No,
know what?
I settled it with my gameplay.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
have to take it to Twitter, but yeah,
Okay.
we done
I
it.
Yeah,
with
guys.
Chuck, I
This is a
had
question I
this
want to
experience.
address.
Okay.
What do you guys think about games that want to use Axie as IP and just the Builders program in general? Do you guys have thoughts on that? I can start it off. Personally, for me, I'm always gonna play competitive games, right? And competition, to bring out the best in competition, it needs rewards, and that's what gets everyone really riled up. So I do support all the builders games. I do support everyone that wants to come to the Ronin Network. My focus right now is the one that I enjoy the most, the one I'm gonna find most competitive, and honestly, to be quite blunt, the one that can bring in financial returns too. That's the main reason why I joined Web3 in the first place. Imagine spending all those time hours that you put in Web2 games, getting no rewards, and now having a game where you can compete, earn money, and everything like that. So until that happens with like new games and stuff, my focus is going to be purely on Axie. How about you guys?
I kind of think it's a nice place for running to be. I think running, aside from Axie, is growing very fast, and like I think it has a lot of potential. I'm very bullish on Ronin as a network. I think they're doing their job amazingly. I do think maybe the amount of good job they're doing at Ronin sometimes jeopardizes Axie. I might be wrong, but
Well,
I think
they what they asked is what uses Axie IP, right? That means like actual Axies in the game.
yeah, yeah. But what I mean is this games would be on Ronin chain, right?
No. Axie IP is like actually Ronin is different. Ronin and Axie are like not the same thing.
No,
You
no,
know,
I know, but
Ronin is
like,
like
Correlated.
Steam, right? What he's meaning is like the builders game program,
I see, I
builders
see, I see.
program games.
I
Yeah.
see. No, I think I would be focused on Axie, but I would like Super Smash Axie ish,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Or Brawlhalla or
Yeah.
etc. etc. I think that's a great genre and pretty easy to have fun with Axie because you have different move sets, right?
Mhm.
So that would go on with the
I
style of
think
the game.
the only only builders program game with an Axie IP I would play would either be a MOBA or an auto chess game. Like those are the only
Oh
things
yeah.
I find fun, and like
Oh,
I like auto chess because like you kind of know how many rounds there are, and it's really fun to play with like other people. For example, what's the game what's that game where like you need to survive as long as you can? That they made it was like the first game.
Axie doll?
uh,
Axie doll.
Axie Doll. Yeah,
Axie
Axie Doll.
Doll.
Like I played it. I didn't have fun playing it because like I like to play with other people. You know what I mean? Like competing with other people in the same game where like it was just like a leaderboard and you just playing by yourself. I feel like it's a game that I would play if I don't have internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
If
sure.
I'm on the internet, like let me play with others. That's why I like being on the internet because I can
Yeah.
communicate with other people. I can play with other people. Like that's just fun.
By the way,
Instead,
this
it
is all
reminds
just
me.
our personal preference.
Yeah,
I
personal
do
For
preference
think,
sure. For
exactly.
yeah,
sure.
everything. This is all great to onboard new players that don't have that, like want to play something more casually or have a niche, a genre of games they want to play. Our next question would be from Dre Hidron. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What do you think about the in-game communication about off-season? We can have the date/rewards shown in-game. This off-season was kind of frustrating for some people. I know it lasted a little longer than we wanted. What are your guys' thoughts on Dra Hedron's question?
I like the
Interesting.
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about off season maybe is not that related, but something I do want to say is that maybe people or maybe Sky Mavis doesn't realize, but off season is with one season for me as a player. So
Mhm.
I see my job as off season plus season, that's one season for me, right? Because it's the amount of money I can do in X amount of time, right? So, or the amount I can play, right? So, for example, 4 months off season plus, I don't know, 1 month and a half of season, that's like 2.5 months. And what I would like to see is that in off season, we should have more interactions with the community, so we don't lose their, what's like the wording, but their passion or whatever, they wanting to play and stream the game basically, or whatever. Because you can see in off season, it's like, it's Axie is basically dead. The only people that play Axie on off season are trying to grind for these boxes that you receive when the season ends. But it's pretty lame, the off season. And I might be wrong, this is my opinion, but I think we should get extra juice from off season. I'm not
I
talking about money, I'm talking about stuff to do.
Okay. Well, you know what? I just thought of something, and I think maybe this is what the person asking the question wanted to say. Um, like he's talking about in-game communication, right? Like something that shows up. I realized that we have this little inbox in game, and we get like all these stuff about, oh, here's your rewards, here's this and that. What if like very important messages about origins that, let's say, that gets tweeted out, why not just put that in the inbox, you know? And why not
True.
set links like that lead to the right things that they want? Because, at the end of the day, people log into the game to play. They don't log into Twitter because they're looking for updates of the game. I feel like the fact that, you have to rely on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is to find information is not good. And sometimes you have to go on Discord to find information. But like, for example, announcements they make on Discord about origins, it could come straight into the game. So every time you open a game, you'll see it and you'll be
True.
like, oh, here it is. And then everyone knows when the off season starts, when the season begins, what prize distribution changed, or blah blah blah, whatever. Whatever it is, you'll find it in the game. And I think that's something they can do.
Yeah, this is something that's needed because, like, when I was in the Philippines, most people don't even use Twitter there, and then when I'm in Vietnam, they don't even know what like Twitter or Discord is. And most of the people like that don't have these socials that want to just play the game and whatnot. They need a way to get this communication, know the dates and everything that's coming. And I don't think it's a very hard thing to do, by the way. I don't. You know, type up a message, whatever message you sent there, it can be in game as well. Next question. This is a pretty good one. I want to ask 143. This is from RoboCop, one of the really active players in this community. I want to ask 1437 Ralo if they have a tool to help them avoid certain bad matchups at the highest level, or do they just queue randomly and hope for the best? How do you guys want to answer that?
With truth. Well, Axis IO is a tool I really, really like. But to be honest, the best thing, like when I'm top 10, and I'm trying to play like 2, 3 games, I just focus on one guy I don't want to face, and I update the leaderboard till like that guy like pops out like he moved MMR, and then I'm like, okay, I'll wait 2, 3 minutes, and then I'll play. That's like the most like, I don't know, secret weapon I try to use when I'm like I don't know, in top level. But until top 10, and if it's not the last day, I'll just spam games, bro. And maybe sometimes I can't play regularly because I'm with my kid or whatever, and I throw a game, maybe 3 games in a row, then I go do something, then come back. But last day, I'll try to select my games with, I don't know,
Yeah.
with a serious mindset, I'd say, and try to dodge. Yeah, I try to dodge my perfect counter whenever I can, updating the leaderboard and know when he's playing. But Axis IO, you can do that as well, I believe. I'm not sure, and I've seen new APIs that actually tell you when was the last time they played, called Axie Goo or something like that, or Goo no sé qué. But I didn't use that. I never used that application. I think it's new.
Okay. So this is a very interesting topic to me because this is something where like
That's okay.
surprisingly, at competitive players come to me, or like not come to me, but like they say things behind my back saying that, oh, this guy's probably using something to like get good matchups and things like that. What's really funny is I'm the one who plays the most amount of games of any player probably in all of Axie on the last days, and I just spam Q for the most part. In recent seasons, I've noticed that people are actually trying to snipe me. It's not the other way around. Like people like actively try to know when I play because I just play games. So and because of that, like the last seasons have been a lot harder because like they just know that I just play or whatever. To answer the actual question, no, I don't use tools, or I've never have used any tools to try and like avoid bad matchups. The whole thing with Axie I get that, but like for me, I don't know, or I don't understand the whole mechanic of how that all that works. For me, it's more like, okay, I go into a game, I just play. If I win, I win. I don't. Because like at the end of the day, I can, like if I was to use some, third party tool, and I'm not talking about Axis IO, but like, people have said that, oh, there's programs where you can see when someone's queuing and you try to queue snipe them and shit like that. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I knew I played, using those things, or if I even try to win that. And even if I were to, I wouldn't be able to win, so many times and even showing up on LAN and winning LANs, right? It wouldn't be possible. Like that,
Yeah.
people just need to
Exactly.
understand that like not everybody out there has, plays with malice, or they try to cheat the system or anything like that. There are people who are just out there who just play the game. What's funny though about this is I do know of, I've heard some stories from teammates who have told me things about, not my teammates but other people's teammates, who have told me stuff about, things that have happened, and I just like shake my head at some of these things. It's not something like, I would publicly say myself. It's obviously not my story to tell, but I've heard of things that people do, and I get it. Some people um don't have the same mindset as I do, or like are not from the same places that I come from, or don't have the same financial situation. And when your financial situation is not that good, or there's a lot on the line, people tend to do stupid things, right? And that I completely understand, and it's been a part of life. Like even me as a child, like when I was very young, and we like I grew up very poor. We didn't have food some days, right? And like I've done stupid things just to make sure that like I can eat. So I get that. That's where I come from. But now in my life, like I'm in a very good place in terms of my family and all those things. Like I can make the right decision, but I'm also not one to like judge those others who, do some weird stuff.
We'll go briefly about this topic, and I'll just be specific about it, right? I want to know your opinions on it. Okay, so there is things you can do. I talk about it on stream all the time. You can go on someone's Axie's IO. You see that they're spamming games. It's not 100% chance you're going to face them, but you see their game end. You know you have a good matchup. You're going to queue into them. Things like that. Is that fair play? Because I know this happens in like highest level mobile games too, where queue times are long. It's easy to get into matches with people and whatnot. And like I know there's a sense of competitive integrity against it and morals and whatnot. But let's just say like, hey, you had to play one more game for the season. It's going to be a $500 difference if you win or lose. Um, and you see this guy that you have auto win against, and he's just spamming games, and you have like a really high chance, especially with our current player base, to match him. Is this fair play? Is this something players should play around? Is this something that you think is frowned upon? Do you think this is something that's ban worthy? Just overall your opinions on this and whatnot. Anyone can start.
I can start, Thebe, if you want, or you want to
Go
start.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I just want to say that me myself, I think I the last days I usually play a lot. Usually, not maybe this last era, but usually I do play a lot, like a lot, and I mean a lot. I even have a name, Passion Ralo, in Momo's Discord, because I tend to go from top 4 to top 19 the last day and then come back. But what I do agree is that if there is an API, I think is the wording for sniping, I think that's not good. I think that's like unfair. What I think is that, like, reverse sniping, like trying to not get a matchup without using a tool is fine. I think it's you're using the leaderboard that's available to everyone. I don't see anything wrong in it. I understand I play a game, I win, I lose, but I personally don't see anything wrong on using the leaderboard that everyone has, just to know, well, this guy is probably playing. I don't want to queue into a possibly bad situation, right? Um, what I do agree is that's absolutely not the same as the reverse thing, that is like, yo, this guy is skewing, I can fuck him up, right? And I think that's bad for the game.
Mhm.
But what I do want to say is that I think what should be done is that the API of Axie changes, because you can't expect people to change, right? You need to
Mhm.
change people and the information they give. So I don't know. I think
No, of course the
Axie,
API can change. This is a very easy solution. You delay the API by 10
yeah,
minutes, and Sky Mavis
yeah,
has the power to do that.
yeah.
Easy
I think they
peasy,
should do
done.
that. I think
Right?
they should
Like
do
they
that. But
easily do that.
yeah, but I don't think like managing the leaderboard is something wrong. I think it's wrong when you're exploiting that, basically.
Yeah, no, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I
that would be
agree with
that's
you.
my
Like
take.
I agree with you that if everybody has the same tools, then it's okay. Someone said, is using a calculator also immoral? Well, everybody has a tool, right? It's a problem when you don't have when, like, let's say, um, I'm gonna use this as an example. There's a guild who creates a tool to be able to avoid certain players, but then it got into the hands of the wrong people, and those people use it to snipe their friends. Like, then that would be immoral. You know what I mean? Like, something like that were to happen, that would be very immoral to do, because, like, you know that you shouldn't be doing that. And that's what I mean. If I did something like that, I don't know how I would be able to sleep at night.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions before we close off the stream? I know we're reaching the 2 hour point, and first of all, while we're waiting for questions, I want to say, like, I really appreciate you guys being here and whatnot. I think it's very, very rare, like I said, where you get the presence of, like, two rank one players that can speak about this game from the highest level, that can speak about this game from the amount of time they put into it. Very, very, very rare occurrence. I don't even remember watching a podcast like this before. So even though it's a podcast I'm hosting, I'm so entertained. Like, I am, like, yeah, I'm so into it. I feel like a viewer, honestly.
I want to talk about a question DC Boy asked. He says,
Yes.
"Need to hear your opinion on end of era roping," and I think I can talk about that question because me myself, I did that once in the past, and I'm very, very, very ashamed of doing that, because I think it's something that you should never do. And I did it to Chan, and I asked him. I talked to him afterwards, saying, "Bro, I was a dick. I'm sorry." And I think, again, the problem not doesn't rely on the player. I do think, like, I apologize because I didn't like my attitude, and I don't think that was nice. But what I say is, I don't think the problem relies on players. I think it relies on the rules. And if those matches counted, that wouldn't happen. And yeah, like, I made that mistake before, and I was a dick, and I won't do it again, never in my life. But I think the way you can change that very easily is just count
Let
those
it count.
games, or I don't know, don't let you queue X times before, or, well, whatever, right?
No, I think this is a change that needs to be happen. I think every game before a deadline, where if you queued into it, it will count, simply because of this reason. I do understand, like, I know, like, people are very against it, and I know that's why you feel bad. But let's just say you queued into a game, and it was a lot of times, like, at least in the older seasons,
I,
it was
I
maybe like
got I got roped every season, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Literally
and it happened
every
to me.
season.
I've seen it
And
happen to
I'm not
143.7.
justifying. I'm not justifying.
I've seen it
That's your
happen
word.
to some of my best friends and everything like that. Sometimes I try to see the other side of the coin. It might be someone from a third world country whose a $500 difference is insane for them. They can either make that $500 if they just play slowly, or they can lose that $500 if they play it out with, like, integrity, or play out the whole game. Um, I'm not sure where I feel about that on the moral scale, just because it is. You are aware, by the way, you are aware that games won't count unless you finish. So if you're someone that needs a game, yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, Thebes. I'm sorry. I did bad shit in the past. I apologize, bro, and never do
Wait,
it
did I
again.
miss? I heard he was muted. Was that part of the clue?
I don't know. I never did it to Theban, but I did it to someone, and
I think it was muted on
I
purpose.
apologize.
I think if you know that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Wait, who was? I was muted.
Yeah, when you
You
said
were
that.
muted.
How'd you mute me? Oh, did I mute myself?
No, you muted.
I thought that was the meme. That's what I said.
Yeah, I thought you did that on purpose. I thought you were cursing, like.
Oh,
like that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I was muted, but yeah, I said, be a man and do the right thing. That's what I said. I did curse, but this time I removed the curse. Maybe it was muted on purpose. Like. For dude, it's just a game, guys. Like, come on. Like, whether you lose $50 or not, like.
I've seen it with an MT8 teammate of yours versus a teammate of mine. I'm not gonna say who's on.
Yeah, I know,
like,
I know. And listen. Whatever those guys do is none of my business at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, for
but,
sure.
Like, as myself, like, I'm not gonna rope you. Like, we go into the last game of the season, and if I lose, I'm gonna lose a game, and I'm just gonna take the L. You know what I mean? Like, it's you deserve.
I did it once, and I instantly realized I was being a fucking dick. I asked, "I'm sorry, bro. I was a dick, and I'll never do it again."
Ralo's still crying.
I'm spoiled.
Let me ask chat something. I want to see like where you guys stand on this. Press 1 if you would intentionally stall a game out to save yourself from losing $500, or because I remember that was a situation for rank 25 and rank 26. Or press 2 if you would just play it out, even if it meant you lost $500 just because you think it's the right thing to do.
Wait, $500? What rank are you at that you're playing for $500?
Those are earlier seasons where there was no eras yet, right?
Okay, well, right now in this season, you're literally a top 10 player.
Yeah, it's only like
more.
There's only like $60
more, bro. Top 10, you're not getting 5.
Top 5, top 4, then you're roping. Yeah. Yo, if you're a top 5 player and you're roping, you're a little bitch. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
I agree. Let's go.
Bitch.
Yeah, that Ralo guy that ropes.
Yeah, I was a bitch, but now I'm no bitch no more, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, but man, this is like I feel like this is such a simple problem to solve, bro. Just 2 o'clock's the deadline. Every game that's queued before 159, let it count.
I don't think that's cool. Like, there could be so many weird things that could happen. Like,
after
with that too, it doesn't matter. I think the situation with roping is fine. It's like whether people do it or not, like, up to them. Like,
just queue
at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with it, right? You're the one who has to
queue up with them.
Yeah. A lot of people are tagging Big Gabby in chat. Like, just know that whatever the situation may be, Big Gabby's the one who has to live with it, right? He's gonna know now, all that stuff, whatever may have happened or may not have happened. Now it's the result of all of that happening right here, right? So you get what I mean? Like, he's living with it now. He's living with it. So use that as an example going forward.
I've seen in leaderboard someone, I'm not gonna say his name, literally Q snipe someone to rope him so he couldn't go up. Literally, I've seen that in this game. So
wow. This just all relates to the whole Q sniping.
When someone is going to play the last 20 minutes, well then get that guy that plays the last 20 minutes and rope him the whole damn game. Literally.
So you guys think the solution for this is just simply delay the API? Or there's any other solutions on this? Does it
delay API is much needed?
Do you think any competitive
what's really funny is this is only a problem in the top 100. Like, from Sky Mavis's perspective, they don't give a fuck because, like, you guys are 100 players, you guys can fuck off, right? Like, we got the thousands of other people over here that are completely unbothered by the situation. So, like, who?
Yeah, that's true. Like, I wonder if people relate to this. They probably don't.
They don't give a fuck, bro. Yeah, probably.
I just realized that we're actually all so small in the grand scale of things. the hundred
Yeah.
of us that actually like do experience these things. So I don't think it might not be a high priority for the fix now that I think about it, right?
Yeah. That's why
Uh,
I always laugh every time there's like some fucking like rank 10k scrub telling me like, ah, you did this or whatever. I'm like, bro, you don't even know the game that we're playing. Like, it's a completely different world, right? That we live in. We're in this small little bubble, right? Like in the top 100 or whatever. And yeah, there's like the own little problems. I only get phased when like someone in the top 100 starts talking shit, because then like I'm like, bitch, you know what we have to go through to get here, and you're like still talking shit. Then it's a different story. But that's what I mean. Like that's why Sky Mavis, like, they don't meddle with this shit, because like it's not as important to them than like trying to onboard 100,000 people or 200,000 or 1 million or multi-million people. You know what I mean? Like their goal right now is just to reach back to where they were and beyond, which is like, I think during season 20 there was like almost 3 million people playing. Literally, there
yeah,
was like 3 million,
impossible.
almost 3 million accounts. I'm sure some of them were multi-accounting, but there was like 3 million rank, you know, which is like insane. Yeah.
So
So that's, if we consider like what it was then to like what it is right now.
So this is an AMA. So I have a question, and we'll kind of spice it up a bit. All right. As people, it seems really, really small, and you could kind of see sometimes, frustrations boiling, and rivalries will naturally happen just due to the competitive nature of things. Is there just someone out there, that you guys see as a rival that you just have to beat, like in all competitive instances? Yeah, we'll start off with you, Ralo. You have one? Be honest.
Well, it's not my rival, it's someone I aspire to, but I would like to beat Theban every day of my life, every day, because it's like it's beating someone that I fucking respect, bro, and I look up to. So I want him to beat me so I can learn. I want to beat him so I can be a better player, but not
Mhm.
as a villain. Now, as a villain, I would like
Ooh.
forever and ever to beat ADRD.
Oh, he is okay. So ADRD is a top player in this game. I have a lot of respect for him. He has won 2 lands and whatnot, and it's always competitive in Origins. Uh, does a lot for the economy in terms of breeding and everything too. Um, what what makes him a rival for you?
Um, I rather not say, but if you know, you know.
I don't know. We'll go Steven next. Steven, any rivals for you, sir? Or you're
Um,
just you beat everyone? Is that what it is?
He
this
doesn't
is
give a
interesting.
shit, man.
As for Ralo, all I'm gonna say is get in line, buddy, because there's a
No,
big
bro.
fucking
I've
line
been in line.
here.
I paid my line, and I already beaten you, bro.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of people in this line. But what I will say is like, I don't when I play arena, I just like playing. Like I don't sometimes think about even winning or losing, unless like it's like a really important place. There are a few people where like if I go into a game, I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm not gonna let you win, like just because. So most of those people are the ones who like tend to talk shit, and then I'm like, then I'll give that little extra juice in the game, even if I'm playing some meme random team. But there is
Want
a
to drop a hint?
player where like when I play in arena, it's like fireworks, like the game is just insane. I wouldn't say like he's my rival, but it's more like a Naruto versus Sasuke battle, and that person is Meat Value. Okay, when me and Meat play in arena, it's like the most funniest shit. Like last season, I was playing Leafy at the end of the era, Mystic era, and he was playing this like Metamorphosis team. And one of our games, we're not even really like a sustained game that goes to Blood Moon or something, but our game lasted more than 15 minutes. But this was 15 minutes that I truly enjoyed. Like every move, every little thing, every detail was like so insane.
I
And
watched that game. That's insane.
nobody else I would have ever played against would have done the same thing or similarly. And we were playing out of our minds. And that is what like made me enjoy the game so much. And I have a lot of these with Meat Valley. Like we work together for LSL, like we train together and stuff. And for me, playing with him is like so much fun, and that's why like and that's, I guess, if there was anything close to like a rival, sort of say, I wouldn't say he's my rival, but more like someone I really look forward to playing against, just because of how fun it is.
Yeah, there's always those players that like you make you sit up. You know, a lot of times I'm sitting back, but you know, if I face like one of you guys or like meat value or like an old teammate or someone I really respect, you sit up, you lock in. I guess one person that I always like really try hard against is Chuck Fresco. You know, if you lose versus him, you are going to Twitter, bro. And every pro has the same mindset when it comes to.
Wait, you guys were in the same guild though when all the shit went down. What do you mean you try hard against him?
Nah, I'm speaking for the people. It's just so funny because like pros have egos, and they do think they're better than him, right? And secretly he might admit that too. But then so when he beats them, it's just the funniest thing ever because it beats his mind.
Every time I face Chuck, I'm like, wait, please don't let me be Ralo my name. Please don't let Ralo be my name. I'm hoping like Ralo is not my name, because if Ralo is my name, I need to win this fucking game or my career is over, literally. So yeah, I try hard against Chuck as well. But now I kind of like Chuck. Chuck is the nicest guy in person. If you any of you guys meet Chuck, he's the nicest guy I ever met, bro. It's like this cute smile. He's like, his vibes are there. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's why when he did that stuff on Twitter, when like he was coming out to like the meditate guys, and then I got involved back then, like why I was going at him hard is because of that. Like I didn't understand it, because when I met Chuck in AxieCon, he was like, we were super chill, we're super cool and whatever, and then suddenly he starts coming at us like on Twitter and me, and then I'm like, all right, bet, like I'm not gonna like let this go, like that's how I felt. But yeah. Well, you brought up an interesting thing about like changing names. I've had people ask me before like why I changed my name and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
people play differently, bro.
People. So I'm sure a lot of you like know. So like for example, when I play against all the top 100 guys, I'm sure all of you have my account bookmarked. It's okay. There are people like that. They know who I am, right? But the reason why I actually started doing that was because there was this one time, someone that I know was like trying to observe me before I used to use my name all the time. They bought Axies that I was playing, okay, and this was like just a random, like really bad. But like at that time, I was just using those Axies because like I was just trying something. I know that they were not the best, but they bought these Axies for a very high price, and they were telling me about it. They were talking to me about it, and they tell me, oh, how can I make this team work? Blah, blah, blah. I saw you playing this. And then I was like trying to help them the best I can. And I realized there was actually a lot of people who are not top players who try to like mimic what I'm doing, but it doesn't work, because like most of the time I'm just trying random shit for the fun of it, and I can afford to do that. So then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to change my name every once in a while so that like all the people who aren't like the top players who know that, okay, this is shit or this is not, like they will still know who I am anyway. I don't care. And all the other people who are not like high-end players, they won't, like, it'll be harder for them to find me, so that they won't have to like go through that shit of buying garbage Axies or like Axies that don't work and hurting themselves. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that bothers me the most, is when like people get burned who are genuinely good people or genuinely people who don't know much about the game, because it's so easy for them to like just be like, oh, this is the top player and I want to, buy this thing, and maybe on the market it's very cheap, but then like that's all they have for their budget. You know what I mean? Like, and some of the stuff I play only works in my ranks. It doesn't work like in the ranks that they're in.
From Tiger Dragon, yeah.
Another
reason to change name. One of the reasons why I do it is like I feel like it relieves a sense of pressure. You're just playing under an alternate alias. When they see your name, they're not going to sit up and try hard as much. Whether it's because they respect you as a player or they're just like, yeah, I'm going to whoop his ass on stream or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of people do. We change our name to something memey, how we're feeling at the moment, and you just play freely. You click next game and just enjoy. That's personally a reason why I do it. Ralo, did you change your name?
I always change my name, bro. It feels so fresh to change your name. Also,
Yeah,
I
when you
like that.
tilt it, just change your name. I'm a new guy.
No, bro, I'm gonna tell you this. I really like the experience of playing as a non, like as if I were no one, right? And no one knew me, because it feels like a more, I don't know, different, bro. It feels different.
It's but
Sometimes when I get like emoted and stuff, and I'm like, bro, it's taken out of my mindset. I just turn off emotes, change my name, and I feel like if I had sunglasses, right? I feel like no one can see me. I don't know. I really like it. It's like a different vibe. Sometimes I just feel like okay, Ralo, whatever. But sometimes I feel like putting on the sunglasses. Yeah,
it's so obvious though. Like for
yeah,
me,
yeah,
when I
for
play
sure.
against someone, I know who's who right away just because of the Axie. Like I'll just look
Yeah,
at their
because
Axie. I'm just like, oh, I this is spam. Oh, this is Ralo.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Chan or you know Enrico or whoever may be. It's just so obvious. Like just from what
For
the
us, it's
Axie.
obvious, right? But
Yeah.
maybe if you're climbing or whatnot, I don't know. I feel like the older days when like there were millions of people and like every game was a new game, and I didn't feel like, I don't know, you never got burnt out. I don't know, but at least for
yeah,
me, I was just getting to know the game and stuff.
but yeah,
But yeah, it was funny.
yeah, okay, yeah, but anyways, y'all, that's gonna be it for today's podcast. We hit the 2 hour mark. I know these guys have things to do. I just want to say thank you so much for showing so much love to my first podcast. Hopefully this is something that can happen often. I'm trying to aim for bi-weekly. Would love to have these guys on as permanent guests, but I know they're busy. But like, we'll have new guests rotating if they can't make it and whatnot. Um, Before I go and let them say their goodbyes and
I'll
stuff
be
one more
here,
time.
bro. You can't get
Yeah.
me out of here. Now I'm like this little fly you have in your head, and you can't get it out.
Yeah, so before I let them say their goodbyes and stuff, once again, the Genkai giveaway, the Genkai giveaway is still going on, so you can go like and retweet and try your chance of winning that. And also the code for today's stream. I'm not allowed to outright say it, otherwise, like, we will just milk the heck out of all the Axies and the Genkai. But if you look at the official flyer for today's stream, all three pictures have something in common. They all have a pretty good clue on it too. Maybe it's a place that we all were together, location, event, whatever it might be, something all three pictures have in common. Okay. But anyways, is there anything you guys want to say before we say goodbye and wrap things up? Rallo, we can start with you.
Yeah, I think this is a great space. I think this is something that Axie needs every week, and that like the community will appreciate a space like this going on moving forward. I think it can be a place to digest some ideas and translate them in a way, or like digest them for Sky Mavis to hear us, and like maybe get some new approaches that on Twitter really like it turns into a bunch of nonsense and hate and stuff. But here with wording and with like more cohesive points can get through. And yeah, I really like talking to you, and of course talking to Theban is a pleasure as well every time.
For sure. Anything you have to say? 1 4 3 7.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. Just hanging out, chilling, talking. I'm sure. I hope the guys in chat were entertained, and I see a lot of familiar faces in there. This is a very how do you say, small, tight knit community when it comes to like the people that we represent. So it's been fun, man. I enjoy it.
Thank you so much, guys, for taking time out your busy schedules to come and support. One more thing. Congrats to Rollo on rank one recently. He copied the
Rare, rare,
1437
rare.
strat. Have a kid, get rank one. You guys have any advice for me too? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But anyways, guys, we're gonna wrap it up now. Thank you, YGG, for helping me produce this. I'm really, really excited for the future of the show. I had a blast. Things as we get more comfortable, I feel like there's gonna be more to talk about, more honesty, more bluntness. So stay tuned and make sure you guys check these guys out on their socials and whatnot. And support their guilds as well. Sora, amazing guild. MT8, amazing, amazing guild. Great people and everything like that. But without further ado, we're signing off. See you guys next time. Bye.